Hi everybody, I'm Sujay Kansagra. I wanted to share some tips and advice with you about pimping in medical school. If you ask anybody in medical training, they know exactly what pimping is. And the term pimping actually comes from the late 1800s. There was a German physician who put together a bunch of questions that he called Pumpfrage, or pimping questions. And it wasn't until the early 1900s when a visiting physician was rounding with Osler at Hopkins that he saw pimping in action. He saw Osler firing questions at medical students. He described it like a Gatling gun, and the students called this pimping, and that's where we get the term. So I have 3 bits of advice for you, in hopes that this will help you get through the pimping process in medical school. Pimping can be a very anxiety-provoking time in medical school, and rightly so. After all, you're kind of put in front of physicians and residents and asked questions about medicine, and obviously they know a lot more about medicine than you do, so it can be difficult. I graduated from Duke Med about 5 years ago and became very familiar with the pimping process, and I wanted to share 3 real tips that I took away from my experience. The first is know what kind of questions are going to be asked of you, and for the most part these questions are going to come from your patient's history and whatever disease process is affecting your patients. So really take the time to get to learn the ins and outs of their history, past medical history, medications, and get to know your patients very well. Then go home and learn about the disease process. By going home and learning about the patient, it actually really helps ingrain that knowledge about the disease process in your brain because you're associating a patient with the disease. And it's great for patient care because you've read up about them and their disorder, and it helps you on pimping. So it's a win all around. So take the time to really get to know your patient and their disease process. The second bit of advice is change your expectations. When I was in medical school, I had this pressure on me, and then I felt like I had to know everything. And when I was in the middle of rounds, if I didn't know the answer to something, I felt terrible. I felt like I had failed. Then when I became a resident, I would ask questions of my medical students, and I wouldn't expect them to know anything. That's why you're in school. You wouldn't be paying $40,000 a year if you already knew everything. And so there is somewhat of a difference between what we expect of ourselves when we're students and what others are expecting of us. And that discrepancy can sometimes make it a lot more of an anxiety-provoking process. And really, it's that anxiety during rounds that sometimes gets in the way of thinking. We all know of questions we've been asked, and we definitely know the answer, but we just can't pull it up at that moment because we're so nervous, trying not to look stupid. And so realize that people aren't expecting you to know everything when you're students, and hopefully that'll lessen your anxiety and make it a lot easier to answer questions. The third and last bit of advice is to become very comfortable saying, "I don't know." And this is something that I learned very early in medical school. And when you're in the middle of rounds and somebody asks you a question that you have no idea about, it's perfectly fine to tell them, "I don't know." Of course, you don't want to say, "I don't know" for everything. You want to study hard, learn as much as you can, and try to answer as many questions as you can. But if you get this question out of left field and you really have no clue what the answer is, it's perfectly okay to look your attending in the eye and lay it on them. "I don't know." Sometimes attendings just ask stupid questions. I remember one time I had a question and I had no clue what the answer was. I told the attending, "I don't know." And so the attending says, "Okay, I'm going to go higher up in the chain and keep asking the same question." So he asked the intern. The intern said, "I don't know." He turned to the junior resident. The junior resident said the same thing, "I don't know the answer." And then he asked the senior resident the same question, and not even the senior resident knew the answer. And so realize that there are questions that you really shouldn't know the answer to, and that's okay. So I hope you found this advice useful. I hope you get a chance to read my book, Everything I Learned in Medical School, besides all the book stuff. That's me on the cover. That's pretty much how I felt throughout all of medical training right there. It goes through all of my experiences through medical training, and I hope it makes your journey through medical school a lot easier. It's become very popular on ebook through Kindle and iBooks, but it's also available in the old-fashioned version through Amazon. If you'd like more advice about pre-medical subjects, medical school, residency, please follow me on Twitter. Med School Advice is my name, and I put the links for all of this down below in the description. If you like these types of videos, you find them helpful, let me know. Hit the like button, share some comments, things that you'd like to see talked about in the future. If I do end up making more videos, I'll put the links right up here, so be on the lookout for those. Thanks a lot for watching.